How's it going, everyone? It's GadgetsBoy. Welcome to another video. In this one, we have the REDMAGIC 7 Pro, and this is probably the most powerful gaming smartphone on the market right now in terms of performance, battery consumption, and it even has a really good cool design factor in terms of what it's got on the back, this transparent look. Looks fantastic. Let's take a look. Inside the REDMAGIC 7 Pro's packaging, you get everything you need to get started. You get a SIM ejector tool, you get your warranty card information, so keep that safe. You also get a silicone case, which has a nice cutout for all your ports, as well as making sure that you can still see that back design, which is essential. We'll talk more about that when we go forward. You also get your 120 watts charging in the box and a USB-C to USB-C cable, so you can charge your phone, charge it up very quickly. With that 120 watts charging, it means you can top up your device, the 5,000 milliamp hour dual battery in there. You get that charged up in less than 20 minutes, which is pretty quick. Then, of course, you get the REDMAGIC 7 Pro itself, which is the Supernova edition here. So in terms of color and spec. So the Supernova edition comes with this clear case back, which allows you to see everything through it. Of course, it's not the real thing if you think about it, but the main thing here is, though, there is a fan on the left side, which is this RGB fan that powers on when you're gaming, for example, or doing any graphics intensive task, which I think is pretty cool that they've done that. Looking around the device, on the right side, you get your volume rocker there, and you also get your power button as well, and two shoulder buttons. So this is your trigger buttons, which can be mapped to whichever game you're playing, and you got a microphone, which is right there. You also get that vent, as you can see there, to keep the device nice and cool. And we look on the right side, we get this switch, which takes you straight into your game space. So if you want to quickly start gaming on the go, just have to flick that switch, and then you're good to go to start gaming. On the bottom of the device, you get your USB-C ports, your SIM card tray, a microphone, and some more, and your speaker grill as well. So this has got a stereo speaker set up, so it's now nice and loud and clear as well. Up top, you have a 3.5mm headphone jack, your microphone, and your second speaker. And on the back, again, before I carry on, there's another ventilation area there, which helps, again, keep the phone nice and cool. More on that fan, though. You do get this fan that spins at 20,000 RPM max, as it's written on there, which is pretty fast if you think about it. And this is running on Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. On the back again, you get that camera setup there. So this is a triple camera setup. So you get a 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, and 2 megapixel depth sensing camera. And on the front, we have an under display camera, which you can hardly see underneath there, but it's underneath there, which you have to see in different angles. But this under display camera is a 16 megapixel shooter, which should do the job. This is not a smartphone that's aimed at those who likes to take photos and stuff like that. This is more of a gaming device. And you also get the under display fingerprint sensor as well, which works really well, nice and quickly, as you can see there. So if I just lock that again, there we go. Just opens up pretty quickly. And then on the back, we can see that fan spinning there, and that color on the side as well, as you can see, comes through on the side, which is pretty neat. You can turn that off, obviously, if you just press that button on the front, the game fan there, the fan there, turbo fan button, and that will stop that from spinning. And you can just press that anytime, and that will start spinning again very quickly. And it's just pretty cool. I'm really into that. Onto the display, we get a 6.8-inch AMOLED display, so that's 2400 by 1080p pixels in terms of pixel count. This would do 120 Hz refresh rate as well. So if we go into settings, we can change the settings in display. We've got dark mode and all that stuff as usual. But if you show screen refresh, we can go from 60 Hz, we've got 90 Hz, or you can go all the way to 100 Hz refresh rate as well, which is pretty neat. So for you gamers out there, this is definitely one to consider if you're thinking about gaming on the go. Fast touch response rate and as well as screen refresh rate is very essential. One thing I do like on here as well is at the top there, it kind of shows you what's happening. So you got 120 Hz mode, and you got the turbo fan on as well. So you can turn that off, obviously, but it tells you what's going on right at the top there. More on the processor power. This is running on Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which is Qualcomm's latest processor. And you also have a second processor in there as well, so second chip, which is the Red Core 1. And that's designed to basically handle the things like your haptic feedback, things like your things that aren't directly related to the graphics or higher frame rates. So that will leave the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 doing all the hard work, while it takes off all the extra bits like things like your RGB lighting, haptic feedback. It will take all that work off the ends of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. So again, things just runs a little bit more smoother, and also just better for efficiency and battery consumption when gaming, for example. Elsewhere in the settings, if you go to always on display, you can select different things that suits your preference there, which is cool. I like always on display. If we go to sound settings, we can then select things like sound effects. So if we go here, we've got DTS:X Ultra. So this is compatible with here. So you can change things like movie, game, music. So you get that immersive sound experience when you plug in your headphones. Let's unplug that. And then we can go back out and go into other settings. So you've got Neo AI, so you can do things like smart game settings, Neo Speed as well for improving application speeds and stuff, execution, all that stuff. And your navigation buttons and gestures, you can change all the settings there. This is just a run through of some of the software features. And if you go into more features, you can do things like heart rate detection, which basically uses the fingerprint sensor to monitor your heart rate sensor. You just have to place your finger like so. Takes a few seconds and it tells me what my heart rate is, which is pretty cool. If we come back out, you got your security settings. So this works with facial recognition and fingerprint sensor as well. And that's the under display fingerprint sensor that I talked about earlier. And it works pretty quickly, which is good. In terms of battery on this, you got 5,000 milliamp hour, which is a dual cell battery setup. And again, with that 120 watts supercharging, you'll be able to supercharge this up in less than 20 minutes, which is more than you'd need, to be honest. This is running on REDMAGIC OS 5, which is based on Android 12. So everything is very familiar and you don't get that many bloatware on here, which is actually pretty impressive. For those people that like things like Geekbench scores and stuff like that, I ran Geekbench on here. So if I go to CPU one, actually let's look history. You can see the CPU score there. So single core 1,244, multi-core 3,718. So scores really high up there from some of the ones that I've tested before. If you look at Vulkan, you got 8,662, again, really high up there in terms of other devices, in comparison to other devices I've tested before. And OpenCL, 6,044, which is pretty cool. If we go into your 3D Mark score, Vulkan, 10,019, which is one of the highest ones I've seen as well. And if we go into your PC Mark 10 as well, it tells you your specs, obviously, but my history in terms of scores, you're looking at 13,675, which is, again, very high up there in terms of performance, which is what you'd expect from something like this, a gaming device that's fully capable. Going into your camera, you can see the user interface there, very easy and simple to use. You've got camera family settings in terms of options available. You've got so many different features there, like 3D, ID photo to take your photos for IDs, panorama, slow motion, etc., even light trails. You've got Pro mode as well, which allows you to adjust things like your ISO, your focus settings, your shutter speed and white balance and so on. If you don't want to do anything like that, you can just go into standard photo. You can activate AI mode to help you enhance what you can see. Got your video mode as well, so you can also, in all the modes, you can zoom up to five times there, and in video mode you can zoom up to 5 times as well. Obviously, you got your steady mode as well, so anti-shake, so it helps with keeping things nice and steady when shooting, especially when zoomed in as well. Got night mode. Obviously, night mode has become standard on most phones these days, and you got portrait mode as well, so you got those options there. In video, if we go into settings, you'll be able to see your video resolution, and this will shoot up to 8K, as you can see up there. So you can Ultra HD 8K. Video encoder formats, you can do H.264 for compatibility, or H.265, or you can even shoot HDR10 as well for higher dynamic range. And those are the kind of stuff you can do on here, which is pretty cool. It's this photo settings. It gives you the option for HDR auto there, but if you go into more settings there, you got face detection, intelligent beauty, which I usually turn off, and you got multi-point autofocus as well, which makes things just be sharper when you're shooting on the go. Flip the camera around, we can see that on the display settings, which looks very soft, but if we turn beauty mode completely off, it's still kind of soft, and that's because we have that on the display camera, which doesn't do the best job at all. I'd rather them not have that there. But again, because this is aimed and focused at gamers, that's not pretty much a big deal if you think about it. Watching videos on here as well looks fantastic. As you can see there, the color reproduction looks great. Looks nice and sharp as well, very vibrant. I love the viewing angles. Although you do get some reflections there as well. So if you have bright light situation, if I mimic it by that light up top there, you can see the reflections coming through. But if you can ignore that and just watch it in a nice lighting environment, you can see that the colors looks really good, just nice and vibrant and sharp. So there's no complaints there at all. And when you're ready to game, like I said earlier, just flick that switch on the side. That will take you into your game space, which is where you can do things like turn the turbo fan on and off. As you can see there, it goes nice and quiet. But when you turn it back on, it's quite loud. You can hear it audibly, so do bear that in mind. So if we tap Call of Duty here, for example, we can select things to allow us to show the frame rate. So up top there, as you can see on the left, You can see that I've turned on the frame rate stuff so I can see what's happening. I can see my internet connection speed as well, my battery life, and how long I've been gaming for. So I can just stick that on the corner to keep an eye on things. And if we swipe from the left, swipe again, it gives you various options that are available in the game space. So 120 Hz refresh rate there. You get your turbo fan, you can record your gaming, you can change your performance level as well if you want to, bump things all the way up. You can see the GPU performance, CPU performance there. You can change it from balance to eco to rise. Rise will give you the full capability of what this can do. And you got your messaging and stuff like that, which you can turn on and off. And then you got things like settings here. So in settings, you can change your shoulder triggers in terms of different settings. You can have different cases, so you can have it for Call of Duty, for example. If you're racing, car racing game, you can have another case set up there. Function allocation for video recording. You can show different sort of themes. And in there as well, if you go into performance, again, you can change that settings there if you want to do that instead of doing it quickly. And then you got your touch sampling rate here, which you have 960 Hertz, ultra high sampling rates. So you can turn that off, you can dial it down to 480 Hertz. But if you're playing games like Call of Duty, you probably want to give that a full blast on there. You got Edge accidental touch protection for serious gamers, and you can change the range as well. But if you come out of that, you can see that I've already mapped my key as well. But if you really want to map it again, you can do that by just going into shoulder triggers, settings, and that will give you option to use it on, or you can turn off the left or the right. In my case, I only need the right trigger, which is the little R that you can see there in red, and that's all I need on here. And you got vibration feedback as well. If you close that, and then we can get back into game and get stuck in. So let's load a ranked game up. The shoulder triggers sit flush on the top there, so unfortunately it doesn't kind of raise eye, so you get that nice little haptic feedback, sort of like tactile feedback on there. So, but once you're gaming though, you don't really think about it at all. It's just there naturally and just feels very comfortable. So here we go in gaming mode. So we're playing Call of Duty Mobile, as you can see there, and things feels very fluid, very nice and smooth. There's no juddering, there's no issues there at all. If I can actually play the game, if we go through here, just want to show you the shoulder button in action, which I've mapped to shooting. There we go. So it just gives you that edge over other gamers that you're playing against online. So let's just reload. Perhaps I could map the left button to reload if I really want to. That might help my gaming scenario here. But you can see how fluid that is. It just works really well. And like I said, although the shoulder trigger button sits flush with the smartphone up top, it still works really well. And you forget that it sits flush and it's not sticking up by the time you start gaming and you get stuck into a game like Call of Duty. There we go. Dead. Nice and easy. But yeah, in terms of performance, this works really well. You can feel the performance just nice and smooth. There's no issues there at all. The fan's kicked in on the back, keeping the phone nice and cool as well. Although it's audibly loud, but if you plug in your headphones and you're gaming on the go, you won't hear that fan kick in at all. So, but here we go, we're dead. But that's the kind of performance and what you can expect if you pick up one of these REDMAGIC 7 Pro. And I love the design. I love the overall design and what they've done with it. To come out of the game completely, you can just flick that switch and that will take you out of the game completely, which is pretty cool. And if you want to game again, you just flick it back on and that takes you straight back into the game. And the processor handles it very well. It just takes you back in there straight away. There's no waiting around. So that's it for the REDMAGIC 7 Pro. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, would you buy one? Is it worth it? What are your thoughts? Let me know. I'll leave all relevant links in the description area as well if you want to do further research of your own. But in the meantime, if this is your first time around here, please do subscribe, smash the like button and share this video as well. It does help out the channel quite a lot. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.